a few more seconds for people to join. If you're just joining, welcome to the 2021 Andrus Award and Volunteer Recognition event. We're so excited to be with you So for everyone's benefit, my name is Josh Aspig. I'm the North Dakota AARP State Director. And as I was just saying, I want to welcome you to the 2021 Andrus Award for Community Service Recognition event. We're so pleased you joined us here today. It's one of our favorite days in the AARP North Dakota team to do this. And as much as we would love to gather in person, we're not able to do that right now. And we still wanted to make sure that we properly recognize and congratulate our Andrus nominees and recipient this year, as well as do some thank yous to some other volunteers as well. And so just like we did last year, we've taken the event online again, and we're bringing it to you right in your homes. A couple of housekeeping items that I want to take care of before I turn it over to our state president, Kathy Schwan. The first of which is the event program, which looks like this. It has the agenda for the day and the nominees, as well as past recipients, should have been mailed to your home so you could follow along as we recognize our Andrus Award nominees today. In case you misplaced it or you didn't get one, Wendy, who was so graciously greeting you and welcoming you before we got started, has just placed that in the chat box. And so if you open the chat box, it's a little bubble on the bottom of your screen. You might have to hover your mouse if you're on a computer, or I think you have to slide left or right on your tablet. And you should be able to download and open the program with us today. The other item to note is you won't be able to ask questions verbally, but there is a Q&A function. If there is some sort of question, you're having difficulty or whatnot, you can use the Q&A function or the chat to reach out, and someone from our team will see if they can help you troubleshoot. So with that, I want to welcome in the AARP's Volunteer State President, Kathy Schwan, who's coming to you live from West Fargo. Kathy, thanks for joining me, and I'm going to turn it over to you to get this event started.
Thanks, Josh. It's great to be here with you to recognize these outstanding volunteers from across the state. Volunteers bring so much to so many people and communities every single day. We're pleased to recognize and thank our volunteers and those who were nominated for the Andrus Award this year here in North Dakota. Someone else who wants to express her thanks is AARP CEO Joanne Jenkins. Let's hear from her now.
I'm Joanne Jenkins, AARP's Chief Executive Officer, and I want to thank you for being an AARP volunteer. We all long for the day when we can return to a more normal way of life. At AARP, we're doing all we can to help us get there, and with your help, we will get there. As an AARP volunteer, you are the heart and soul of our organization. Without you, there is simply no way that we could meet our ambitious goals for improving lives, standing up to injustice, transforming the marketplace, and empowering people to live better as they age. You are doing amazing work, finding creative ways to connect, engage, and serve, learning new tech skills and putting them into practice, participating in virtual lobbying and reaching out to elected officials, thanking essential workers, promoting AARP priorities on Facebook and Twitter, helping organize virtual events around livable communities and fraud, and so much more. Because of your commitment to volunteer service, more people are looking to the future with hope and optimism. And as we look ahead, we continue to need you more than ever, your experience, skills, passion, and unique understanding of your community. AARP realizes that you have a choice in how you want to spend your precious time and give back to your community. We're so thankful that you've chosen to make a difference by volunteering with AARP. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all you do. Thank you, and please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Joanne. Volunteering with AARP is very important to me. I serve on the Volunteer Executive Council here in North Dakota, but I'm not alone. Let me introduce my fellow Executive Council members. Diane Billy is from Ellendale. Eunice Kuhn is from Grand Forks. Ellen Schaefer is from Bismarck. Michael Warner is from Fargo, and Cindy Yale is from Burlington. It's a pleasure to serve with these volunteers. Together, we help guide the work of AARP North Dakota.
Well, thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you introduced the Executive Council, and we have a very active and engaged Executive Council. In fact, just last week, we were all meeting to think about what does 2022 look like and start planning for that. And I can't thank you each enough. In addition to our Executive Council and our lead volunteers, we have a great team at AARP North Dakota. And yes, while I am biased, I do believe it's the best team in all of AARP in the States. And our team consists of a talented group of professionals: Lyle Halverson, our communications director; Wendy Hogue, who's our senior operations associate; Janelle Most, who is our advocacy director; and Doreen Redmond, who is our community outreach director. Doreen, unfortunately, can't be with us today. She sends her greetings as she is on a well-earned time off. In addition, not noted here, but many of you have gotten to know, or some of you have gotten to know, our intern, Alexis Betts, the last couple of months, who's really been helping us dig into some network of age-friendly community work here in Bismarck. And so every day we work hard to continue the work of Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, for whom the Andrus Award for Outstanding Community Service is named. And to say that 2021 was again different would be an understatement. It was certainly unusual for AARP in our work. And while we were required to maintain virtual connections, we had plenty of opportunities and volunteers who rose up to that challenge. Whether it was doing advocacy online, we've had one of the most successful legislative sessions we ever had, despite not being able to be physically at the Capitol for much of it. In addition, a number of you who have volunteered for us have done media interviews. You've been assistants on our virtual events, whether that's greeting or helping out. You've done telephone town hall screening and been a part of trivia hosting or other team leaders. And so there's a short video to show some of the work that you all did this year.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Warner.
And I'm Mike Warner, and she's my better half. Anyway, we're volunteer members of North Dakota AARP, and we would like to have you really get involved in the week of action by having you contact your legislator or other legislators that you know to thank them for their service in our state, and also the support for many important legislative priorities.
I mean, every time we talk to legislators, and I say we being Janelle and I have spent time at the Capitol talking to legislators as part of it. They always mention, yeah, I heard from, I'll just say Ellen, who lives in my district, and her story about, her family's struggle to afford prescription drugs resonates with me. Those stories are so powerful, and they do make a difference,
It's essential that Bismarck residents, like us, get involved and help make Bismarck an even better place to live. All you have to do is look outside your own door. There's many places where you can observe what's happening in your community.
I agree, George. In fact, I'm going to call some of my friends and see if they want to get on board on the ground floor too. So, hey, it was nice visiting with you today, George.
Ellen, you also have a great day.
Even a text or a social media message saying that you've won a prize and all they need is some personal information from you to claim it. All of these are examples of scam. Knowledge gives you power, and AARP is here to help.
We're ready to go, Barb. So thank you very much for all of your help this afternoon, excuse me.
Have a great time. Have a great time.
We look forward to seeing you in all those red shirts.
Well, thank you again, and hopefully you had a chance to get just a snippet. It was hard to narrow it down to put things in the video, but we're so appreciative. And as the end slide says, you really are making a difference right here in North Dakota for so many over the age of 50. In addition to the work that our state office volunteers do, there are two volunteer-run programs in the state of North Dakota. And I wanted to take a minute to make sure we recognize and point out their efforts as well. Our driver safety coordinator, volunteer coordinator for the state of North Dakota is Pete Kuhn, who resides in Grand Forks. And I know they're eager to get up and start doing driver safety in-person classes when it's safe to do so again. And then I wanted to take a moment to give a special recognition to Fritz Schwint of Bismarck. Fritz has been the AARP Foundation Tax Aid Coordinator for 6 years. And after spending 6 years as the state coordinator, organizing thousands of returns being processed by volunteers across the state of North Dakota, he's decided to step down. And I want to, on behalf of the AARP North Dakota State Office, thank Fritz for his service and the work he's done. I know he helped so many, and that was even more evident last year when they were doing all they could to help all of those they could across North Dakota, despite some very challenging circumstances. And I'm super excited to welcome Sue Solseth. Sue is the new Tax Aid, AARP Foundation Tax Aid State Coordinator, and she also resides in Bismarck. And I've already had a chance to visit with Sue, and some of you will get to know her. I know she's eager to get up and running as part of it. If any of you are interested, these folks, as well as the AARP State Office, is always seeking new volunteers, and you don't always have to be out front. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that can happen too. And so you can either let us know in the Q&A if you'd like more information about volunteering, or you can email us at aarpnd@aarp.org. With that, I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to talk about the Andrus Award for Outstanding Community Service. Kathy?
And like Josh said, thank you to all of our volunteers. As you can see, there's always work to be done, and there's plenty to go around. But now we're going to move on to the Andrus Award recognition. We want to recognize our past Andrus Award recipients and congratulate them for their achievements. The recipients are listed on page 3 of the program. And today we have some of those folks joining us. And last year's winner in 2020 was Evelyn Hildebrand in Minot. She's with us today. 2019 was David Ellefson of Bismarck. And in 2018 was Valray Burkholder of Fargo. And we're glad that they could join us today. Dr. Andrus has inspired many of us across the nation. We honor her by recognizing volunteers in each state every year. Now, here are the North Dakota Andrus Award and Community Service nominee and the recipient for 2021.
Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, a retired high school principal, founded AARP in 1958. Since its inception, AARP has grown and changed dramatically in response to societal changes. Even so, the association remains true to its founding principles. For over 60 years, AARP has been a champion for Americans 50 plus by creating opportunities for them to choose how they live as they age. The association's motto, "To serve, not to be served," was articulated by our founder. It speaks to everyone who works for AARP, both staff and volunteers. AARP volunteers are a part of Ethel Percy Andrus's army of useful citizens, committed to living their lives with dignity and purpose, committed to leaving the world better than they found it, committed to sharing their wisdom, and to build a future where coming generations can thrive, dream, create, and live their fullest, best lives. And that's the spirit of the Andrus Award for Community Service, AARP's most prestigious and visible volunteer award. The award is given to just one person in every state each year. The Andrus Award for Community Service acts as a symbol not only for our members, but for people of all ages, that we can all work together for positive social change. AARP has a long valued spirit of volunteerism and the important contributions volunteers make to their communities, neighbors, and the programs they serve. This year we received 5 nominations for the Andrus Award. We'd like to take a few minutes to recognize each of the nominees and those who took the time to make the nominations. Joel Arneson of Grand Forks was nominated by Diana Dietz O'Reilly, also of Grand Forks. Joel has quietly served others in need. He visits persons confined to the hospital, nursing home, or home aftercare. He helps those with many needs, including transportation to medical appointments, church, delivery of groceries, and more. Diana says by him checking on people, no one falls through the cracks, which is a priceless gift for those living alone. Jackie Schindler of West Fargo was nominated by Kathy Schwann, also of West Fargo. Jackie oversees the Dorothy Day Food Distribution Center at Holy Cross Catholic Church in West Fargo. Jackie implemented a drive-up food distribution process that eliminated the pantry-style walk-in distribution. The drive-up method allows volunteers to insert 50-pound boxes bearing a variety of items into an open trunk without the recipient having to leave the vehicle. 2 organized lines each Monday and Wednesday distribute the largest amount of food to needy families under Jackie's careful watch than any other food distribution center in North Dakota. Marge Conley of Wilton was nominated by Donette Peterson of Mandan. Marge has been a hospice volunteer with Sanford Health since 2007 and is a role model and a leader for current and new volunteers. Marge was a lead on a project in which Sanford volunteers made 113 lap quilts that were presented to veterans on home care services. Marge herself cut 6,780 squares for the quilts and made 113 kits that went out to volunteers to sew, many of which Marge did herself. Once the quilts were returned, Marge spent 226 hours snipping the quilts and 113 hours putting the patches and pockets on. Donette says this project would have never come to fruition without her leadership and hard work. Steve Saunders of Bismarck was nominated by Mandy Sherny, also from Bismarck. Steve has worked in many assignments with the Great Plains Food Bank Regional Service Center in Bismarck, including a mobile food box repack assignment, as well as senior food box packing, youth summer meals distribution, and a retail food rescue for multiple locations. Steve rescues food from local grocery stores for the food bank as a part of its retail food rescue program. He then delivers that food to school pantries, agencies, and food pantries. His volunteer work impacts so many people. Steve enjoys seeing the faces of those who benefit from his volunteer work each week. He gets to see those faces turn to relief instead of stress when he recovers and delivers our food. We commend all of these nominees for the volunteerism they have provided in their communities. Thank you all. You are an inspiration, and we are grateful for your efforts. And now, we are pleased to announce this year's recipient. The recipient of the 2021 Andrus Award for Community Service is Cindy Roholt of Fargo. A panel of past Andrus Award recipients and the AARP North Dakota volunteer leaders selected Cindy for her years of volunteer service in her community. Cindy was nominated by Larry Peterson, Ruth Varland, and Barry Nelson, all of Fargo. They described Cindy as a quiet leader whose volunteer work has helped to support the LGBTQ population in Fargo-Moorhead and is an advocate for them not only in Fargo, but also statewide. Now, let's hear directly from Cindy, Larry, Ruth, and Barry.
Cindy is a tireless volunteer and encourager. We often worked long hours over dinner breaks, and we were around for lunches and stuff, and she would be picking up the phone and calling people. When she believed in something, she was the first one to step up and say, how can I help? And I watched her really put her energy behind that commitment.
LGBTQ Film Festival that's held every fall. She was on the board for that, and she'd been on the jury to select films. She was a member of the Pride Collective Board of Directors, and the treasurer for that for a number of years. I know that she's part of the group that coordinates. There's an AA group for LGBTQ people. It's called Rainbow Recovery, and Cindy's been one of the kind of people that helps that group get together. So she's very active in the gay and lesbian community.
One of the best things about having been involved with the community in a broad sense over the last decade has been finding friends, finding people to have good discussions with. It's really fun, and I've met wildly wonderful, funny, articulate, intelligent, goofy people to make friends with, and that's been great. That feels like a lot of frosting on this cool cake that I'm sitting in.
I said in my nomination that I feel like I've known Cindy all my life. I know that's not true, but she's just one of those people that once they're in your life, you think you've known them forever. Always as I've known her as this really kind, positive person. And then I had an opportunity to work with Cindy. She does a lot of volunteer work in the community. And we were organizing the first ever statewide North Dakota LGBTQ+ Summit. And we were looking for people who could really help out to make it a successful event. And we were struggling a bit with some of the marketing aspects, and Cindy could see that. And she said, I could do that for you. And she did. And from that point on, then she's just stepped into more and more activities with that. She anticipates, in fact, some of the things that needs to be done and steps in and does it herself. She's a fantastic team member.
Even though Cindy and I were both at NDSU, I really didn't get to know her until the spring of 2017. And I had learned that there was a new group in town called the Red River Rainbow Seniors. I'd always had students who were interested in interviewing people in the LGBTQ community. So I went to the Rainbow Seniors and I said, hey, are you guys interested in this? And they were very interested, and Cindy was there. She was one of the founders of the Red River Rainbow Seniors almost a year earlier. And she became one of our interviewers. And so Cindy is first of all, she's a very warm person, so it's easy to talk with her. And has a good smile, very inviting, but she's really a good listener and very empathic. So she really lets people unfold. She's very, that kind of waits for them to talk and kind of process their thoughts and their emotions. And you can tell that she's really, the people really feel that Cindy's with her in those interviews.
Well, I think she is a living example to many of the students that I worked with, who were trying to find out who they were and trying to live into who they were. And here she was, an optimistic professional, advocating for herself, advocating for others, and showing what a full life could look like. Boy, she's patient and has a great sense of humor. And her kind of easygoing way really belies her determination. Her first question is always, how can I help?
Getting this reward was a real surprise. The Andrus Award has a long and storied history. There are many people who, I feel have done so much. I guess it's about taking an idea and just making something happen. That's what I would like to continue to do, is come up with ideas, find people to work on them and make them happen. And that's really, I think, what's behind this whole award.
Hello, I'm Joanne Jenkins, the CEO of AARP. Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus founded AARP over 60 years ago, issuing a charge to its members to serve, not to be served. Through her own volunteer service, she inspired them to use their time, talent, and experience to help improve the lives of all Americans by volunteering in their communities. Today, service is at the center of everything we do. Day in and day out, AARP volunteers across the country dedicate their time and experience to improve the lives of others. Since 2002, AARP has been honoring that commitment by recognizing an exceptional volunteer age 50 and older in each state with the Andrus Award for Community Service. The award criteria are clear. The Andrus Award recipient must enrich their community through volunteer service and provide inspiration for others to volunteer. As an Andrus Award recipient, you personify those qualities. Thank you for all that you do in your community, and congratulations on receiving the Andrus Award for Community Service.
On behalf of the AARP North Dakota Executive Council and the AARP staff and the more than 83,000 members of AARP in North Dakota, our sincere congratulations to Cindy. Thank you for all you have done and for all you continue to do.
Congratulations to all our nominees. It's a pleasure to recognize you, and let's welcome our recipient, Cindy Roholt. Congratulations, Cindy. And would you like to give us a little bit of information about your volunteerism and the work you do in the community?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. Hello, everybody. I'm glad that you're all there. I wish we were all in a room together and that I could see all of you. Thank you for asking me to share my thoughts. First of all, I'd like to say how surprised I was and how honored I am to receive this year's North Dakota AARP Andrus Award for Community Service. Thank you to Ruth Varland, Larry Peterson, and Barry Nelson for the nomination. Each of you are tireless workers and advocates for making this world a better place. You all made a place for me, and I will be forever grateful for that gift. Thank you too to North Dakota AARP, its Executive Council, and staff for your time and consideration of my nomination for this award. I remember when I started to get AARP mail, I thought, oh boy, I am not ready for this. But as the mailers and magazines kept coming, I kind of softened to the idea when I saw Jamie Lee Curtis kept popping up in the publications. She was pretty convincing, and since she's a couple years younger than I am, I had to admit that there was no getting around it. AARP was in my future. Little did I know at that time just how much a part of my future would be shaped by being involved with AARP. I first became aware of this award, the history of AARP, and Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus a few years ago when this award was presented to Valray Burkhalter of Fargo. I knew of Valray through her wonderful son, Matthew, and she just kept showing up, and she just always seemed to be somebody that was around working at many of the events and gatherings that I was attending. And I remember thinking at that time that she got the award, how cool this was for her. You know, this beautiful, quiet, persistent person that I had grown to admire was receiving such important recognition for her work. This year, as I look at the accomplishments of the other Andrus Award nominees, I'm very proud to have been included for consideration, along with Joel Arneson, Jackie Schindler, Marge Conley, and Steve Saunders. Each of you has given so much of yourselves to your communities. It's incredibly important to have people like you who personally take care of those in need, just getting help, getting on with their daily lives in so many ways, making sure that folks living with food insecurity can receive groceries, meals, and support with dignity. Assisting hospice to give caregivers a break, and providing the comforting hug and warmth of a quilt sewn with purpose and love. You have all made a huge difference. After becoming familiar with your stories and hearing about how you engage with people and how you approach your work, it's really more than apparent that you care what happens in this world far beyond yourselves. How especially proud your families and those who volunteer side by side with you must be. I'm sure that you would agree with me that none of the work that any of us do is done alone. Over the years, in undertaking any volunteer opportunity, I've been surrounded by people who are willing to show up, collaborate, build a team, solve problems, and get work done. When you're working with a supportive team, it can be transformational. I believe it's one of the biggest reasons to stay involved and keep coming back. Having personal support is pretty great too. Fortunately, Or perhaps mercifully, I am married to an incredibly resourceful and supportive partner whose efforts and contributions toward whatever I'm involved with has just made my life so much easier and so much fun. Of the things that have been mentioned here today, I want to note that AARP in North Dakota has played a pivotal role in the group that I have been most involved with for the last 5 years. Red River Rainbow Seniors grew out of a really quite informal gathering that North Dakota AARP sponsored in August 2016. By March of 2017, what had begun as a relatively small group of seniors voicing their ideas and concerns about aging with Lyle Halverson, North Dakota's AARP communication director, this all became a cohesive, determined, and organized group. The first board members were Mary Lee Clarence, Daryl Hansen, and myself, and we were backed up by a group of hardworking, engaged, and inspiring members who all worked together to get things up and running. We have since been followed by other capable and enthusiastic boards and members who, as a group, have given North Dakota LGBTQ seniors a means to gather and solve and sound out their collective voice. This organization that is dedicated to providing advocacy, education, support, and fun to elder LGBT community in the Red River Valley is something that didn't exist before. And since the beginning, North Dakota AARP, Lyle, Doreen, Wendy, Janelle, and Josh have been there to partner with us. We're incredibly thankful to them for their ongoing support. One of the most notable achievements of this group is its oral history project, Breaking Barriers, Harvesting LGBTQ Stories from the Northern Plains. Collecting the words of these lives lived here, often in the margins, often silenced, is important work. As an organization, we know that what we have started here has made an impact statewide, and personally, I am very proud of that. I have asked that the funding gift that comes with this recognition today be presented to Pride Collective and Community Center to support the work being done by the Red River Rainbow Seniors. The personal journey to the acceptance of receiving an award of this kind for what one does while just living a life is a bit of an uphill one for me. Still, I am very proud to be honored in this way. It underscores what a privilege it is to live a life where someone feels that you have made a difference. I hope that my life continues to be blessed by walking with people who are willing to show up. We can't do this alone, and there's so much work to be done. In closing, I want to thank you all, and I would like to applaud you for the good work that each of you do.
Cindy, you briefly mentioned the group that will be the recipient of the $1,000. Is there anything more you would like to add?
Sure. If people are interested in learning more, they certainly could reach out to me directly. There are also Facebook pages for both River Rainbow Series and Breaking Barriers. Pride Collective and Community Center is the only brick and mortar in the state of Dakota, and in that it is has a very important place. As a gathering spot for a number of it's the Oral History Project there have been about 325 people who have been identified. Of that group of people, 120 have been interviewed to date, And there was also just received by Street to put up a historic display at the Yum Cups to commemorate the Minnesota Marriage Project. There are 28 interviews that are done for that. So there's just really a lot going on with that, and excited that it continues to grow. That's it, unless you've got more questions.
Yeah, it's pretty clear you've got a full plate, and we are so proud of you, Cindy, for winning this award. And you really inspire volunteerism in the state of North Dakota and to make us useful citizens. So congratulations again from all of us here at AARP.
Thank you very much.
Yes, congratulations, Cindy. Super appreciative of you and all of the nominees for the work you're doing in your communities to make them better places for people of all ages. And it's so glad you could join us today. As part of that, additionally, a special thanks to all who volunteer for their community, whether it's on behalf of AARP or just on their own. I also, again, want to thank past Andrus Award recipients that are with us today, Belray Burkholder, David Ellison, and Evelyn Hildebrand. As you heard today, clearly you continue to inspire folks to volunteer and get engaged. A couple of quick announcements before we end today. The first of which is, if you have seen the latest AARP North Dakota newsletter, you probably have seen this news. If you haven't, maybe it is news to you. But Lyle Halverson, who is our communications director, is retiring at the end of October after 16 plus years with AARP. And so you can mark your calendar. You will be getting an invite very soon to join us on October 27th in the afternoon for a virtual open house to celebrate Lyle. Lyle does not like to be in front of the camera. He likes to be behind the scenes, but we absolutely owe him a debt of gratitude for all of the excellent work that he has done on behalf of AARP and older adults, not just in North Dakota, but across the country as part of it. So knowing that, I'll save the rest of my comments for Lyle for October 27th. Please mark your calendar and look for the invite to join us for the virtual open house to celebrate Lyle on October 27th. Lyle leaving us means we also are going to have a new face joining us. And on November 1st, Marty Peel is joining the AARP North Dakota team. She is listening today. And so I know she's excited to get started. We're excited to have her start as well. And I think you'll enjoy getting to know Marty and work with her in the coming days. The last couple things I just want to quickly remind you, you can find all of our upcoming events at aarp.org/ND events. Again, that's aarp.org/ND events. There's a couple coming up next week. We have a virtual lunch and learn with the godfather of the dark web, Brett Johnson. You do not want to miss that one as part of it. And remember, you can register at aarp.org/ND events. And even if you can't make it on the date, we do record them. So you can view them later, or you can always find them after the event on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/AARPND. Once again, congratulations to Cindy. Congratulations to Joel, Jackie, Marge, and Steve as well for your nominations, as well as the nominators and all of our volunteers across the state of North Dakota. On behalf of AARP North Dakota, I also want to say thank you to my team. Well, I pointed them out earlier. Between our executive council and our staff team, I can't thank them enough. They do an excellent job behind the scenes and a lot of work to get these things organized and done very well. So my thanks to them, and I hope you'll thank them with me. With that, thank you for joining us for today's 2021 Andrus Award recognition event. And